There is a specific type of exhaustion that settles deep in your chest. It does not come from hard work. It comes from trying to explain your heart to someone who is absolutely committed to misunderstanding you. You bring them the facts. You show them the receipts. You speak with kindness. But they just stare at you and double down on their accusation. It feels like you are pouring your precious energy into a black hole. If you have ever felt this heavy weight, if you are tired of defending your own goodness, please hit the like button right now. Let this be a small signal to yourself that you are ready to stop explaining and start living. Let me tell you a story about a man named Arthur. Arthur was a master lantern maker living in a quiet valley. He was not a weak man. He was patient, skilled, and his hands created the steadiest lights in the entire region. He took pride in pushing back the darkness. But across the street lived a man named Mr. Vance. Vance was bitter, loud, and deeply suspicious of everything he could not control. Every day in the marketplace, Vance would point a finger at Arthur. He would shout to the crowd that Arthur was a fraud. He claimed Arthur used cheap glass and overcharged the villagers for his lanterns. Now, this is where Arthur made a mistake. It is the same mistake many of us make. Arthur believed that truth plus explanation equals understanding. He thought this was a communication problem, so he tried to fix it with logic. Arthur stopped his work. He walked over to Vance. He gently explained the cost of the imported oil. He showed Vance the quality of the glass. He tried to prove his integrity with data. But Vance did not want data. He wanted a villain. The more Arthur explained, the more Vance twisted his words. Vance simply smirked and said, "Look at him defending himself so hard. He must be guilty." Night after night, Arthur sat by his fire, drained and empty. He asked the question that haunts all of us. Why can he not see the truth? Arthur did not know it yet, but he was trying to explain the color of the sky to a man who had decided the sky was green. One morning, the noise of the marketplace was interrupted by the arrival of an old monk. He was passing through the hills and sat quietly by the village fountain. Arthur, tired and desperate, approached him. He waited until the crowd thinned out and whispered his question. "Sir, I try to be honest. I never cheat anyone. But no matter how much I explain myself, Mr. Vance twists my words. What is the right thing to say to make him understand?" The monk looked at Arthur for a long moment. He did not give him a better argument. Instead, he asked a strange question. "Tell me, Arthur, if a man decides the sky is green, what color is the sky to him?" Arthur frowned and said, "Well, to him it is green, I suppose." The monk nodded. "And would your explanations change his eyes?" Arthur shook his head slowly. "I guess they would not." Then the monk said something that changed everything. "Then stop explaining colors to those who refuse to see. Let your work be your answer. Silence is not weakness, my son. It is strength wrapped in peace. This is not just a fable. This is what behavioral science calls confirmation bias. When someone like Vance attacks you, they are not looking for data. They are looking to validate their own ego. They have made a subjective commitment to seeing you as the villain. If they admit you are honest, they have to admit they were wrong, and their ego cannot handle that." Arthur realized he was not fighting a communication problem. He was fighting a psychological trap. This is a hard lesson to learn. If you agree that silence is not weakness, but a form of protection, please share this video with a friend who needs to hear it today. Sometimes we all need permission to stop fighting battles we cannot win. So Arthur went back to his shop, but he did not just sit there. He applied what we can call the lantern protocol. It has 3 specific steps. Step 1 is the green sky audit. The next time Vance shouted insults in the market, Arthur paused. He asked himself one question. Is this man looking for truth, or is he looking for a green sky? Arthur realized it was a green sky, so he closed his mouth. He bowed politely and walked away. Step 2 is the energy transfer. This is the hardest part. The story tells us that at first things got worse. When Arthur stopped arguing, the villagers whispered even louder. They said, "Look, he has no words left. He must be guilty." Arthur wanted to scream. His ego wanted to correct the record, but he took all that burning heat in his chest and he poured it into his hands. He polished the glass of his lanterns until it sparkled. He trimmed the wicks with surgical precision. He used his frustration as fuel for his craft. He stopped trying to manage his reputation and started managing his output. Step 3 is the result. Weeks passed. The rumors were still there, but the lights in Arthur's shop became undeniably beautiful. Travelers from other towns began to stop. They did not know the gossip. They only saw the excellence of the work. They bought the lamps because the light was steady and true. And then came the final test. It was a cold autumn evening. Mr. Vance needed a light for his porch. He could not go to the other sellers because their goods were inferior. He had to cross the street. Imagine the tension. The man who tried to destroy Arthur's name was now standing in his shop. Vance placed 3 coins on the table, the same price he used to complain about. He grunted and said, "I need one for my porch." Arthur did not smirk. He did not say, "I told you so." He did not try to teach Vance a lesson. Arthur simply picked the best lamp on the shelf. He handed it to Vance and said, "It will serve you well." That night, the villagers saw Mr. Vance standing on his porch, staring into the warm, steady flame of the lantern. He never apologized, but the look on his face changed. He finally saw what words could never show. The truth did not need to shout. It just needed to burn. A few days later, a young boy was watching Arthur work. He asked, "Mr. Arthur, why do your lights shine so much brighter than before?" Arthur looked at the flame and gave the answer that we should all remember. He said, "Because I no longer waste my fire trying to light the darkness inside others. I keep it here, where it belongs." When you stop chasing validation, you begin to feel something beautiful. You feel freedom. You have a finite amount of energy each day. You can spend it arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you, or you can spend it on your own lantern, on your health, on your family, on your dreams. You cannot do both. So here is the final truth. Peace is not found in being understood. Peace is found in understanding that you do not need to be understood. You have to be willing to be the villain in their story for a little while in order to be the hero in yours. The next time you are tempted to explain your color to the colorblind, remember Arthur. Remember the lantern. Do not waste your fire. If this story gave you a new perspective on your own value, I want you to make a commitment right now. Scroll down and comment the words, "Keep the fire." Let that be a signal to your brain that you are done explaining. And to ensure your inner light keeps growing stronger every single week, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Do not let your fire go out just because someone else chooses to sit in the dark. Until next time, stay calm and keep building.